I found this table at a garage sale for only $15. It was in okay condition. I could tell that somebody had already refinished it, and it looks like the finish that they applied was just a clear, glossy polyurethane. The color looked a little pale to me, and I wasn't a fan of the glossy finish, so I decided to refinish it in a deeper, darker color with a satin top coat, closer to what the original finish would have looked like. This table was made by Lane Furniture in the 1960s, and it was part of their Acclaim line of furniture, which was a very popular line in the 60s and is still popular today. I started by stripping off the existing finish, and this was a little tougher than usual. Most of the pieces that I work on have the original lacquer finish, which is usually pretty easy to take off, but the polyurethane on this one was a little tough, and I had to apply the stripper a couple of times to get all the finish off. And I have noticed that when stripping polyurethane, when I first put the stripper on, it usually turns dry and white like this within maybe 5 minutes. And I have to remove that and then apply the stripper again, and then that usually gets off the rest of the finish. And then I just took some mineral spirits and steel wool and removed whatever was left of the stripper residue. And some people would probably just stop here and put a clear finish on it as it is. It does look pretty good, but I'm going for a more uniform finish over the whole table with less contrast between the light wood and the dark wood. So that's what I'm going to go for. Here's the table after it's dried from the stripping process, and it's just about ready for sanding, but there is one hole in the veneer on top that I want to fill first. And to fill that hole, I'm going to use this Timbermate wood filler. This is a water-based wood filler, and it's really good for shallow fills like this. It dries quick. It's really easy to work with. And this particular one is walnut colored. Then it was time for sanding, and for the top I used an orbital sander with 150 grit paper and then followed that with 180 grit paper. I sanded the rounded edges by hand. And I also sanded the legs by hand. For the stain, I used a gel stain by General Finishes, and I actually mixed two colors together. I used walnut and candlelight. The walnut is mostly brown, and the candlelight has more red to it. So the two together gave me the color I was looking for. And I use this on the top and on the legs. I let the stain dry overnight, and the next day it was time to spray some lacquer. Here's how it looked after the stain dried. It looked good, but I still wanted to get more consistency in the color over the top, with less contrast between the light wood and the dark wood. So to accomplish this, I sprayed some toner lacquer on it, and toner lacquer is basically lacquer with some color added. In this case, it's a walnut colored lacquer. I sprayed very light coats. It's a very subtle effect, and I'm not sure how well it's even going to show up on camera, but I was just going for a subtle toning effect. I wasn't trying to make it look like it was painted. Just went over it a few times with very light coats, and it just helps to draw the whole piece together and just give more consistency to the color over the whole piece. Once the toner lacquer had dried, I went over the whole piece with some clear satin lacquer. These Lane Acclaim tables always had a black foot on the legs, and they were just painted on. So I just took some black acrylic paint and just brushed it on, and then later went over it with some clear lacquer. And here it is, all finished. And here's how it looked when I started, just for a comparison. Thanks for watching.